Diana from Adirondack Girl at Heart. I help vintage and antique sellers make more money selling their vintage and antiques. One of the ways I do that is through these videos. Another way is through my website, adirondackgirlatheart.com. It's filled with all kinds of articles about various vintage and antiques. Today I'm sharing some of my recent finds while out shopping at thrift stores, garage sales, and antique malls. I have a number of Christmas items that I'm going to share at the end of the video, along with 2 items that recently sold for me on Etsy. Let's start with some jewelry. I know I'm not supposed to be buying jewelry, but when I find it at super reasonable prices, I'm going to pick it up. So here's a very pretty crown brooch. The gems are prong set, which keeps them safe from falling out of the brooch, and it should sell for about $25 on Etsy. And then I picked up 2 rings that ended up both being sterling. That's a little pearl, very rustic sort of looking pearl, a child's ring, I think, because it's quite small. Should sell for about $20 from my antique booth. And then here's a little sterling silver band. They were $1 each, also from the same garage sale as the crown. So $18 to $20 for that one. And then while we're on jewelry, do you remember these? These were so popular back in the 1970s. They hold pierced earrings. There's all these little holes there. And as you can see, I paid $1.99, and they sell on Etsy for about $18. This one's marked made in the US, Revere Manufacturing on the base there. So made in USA is always nice. Here's a couple of things. I call them supplies, craft supplies, that sort of thing. I always like to pick up corks for antique bottles and any interesting paper. This is embossed white paper, and it was $1. The corks were 50 cents. And then I always pick up clipboards. This is 99. I use them for a lot of different, lists and inventory and things like that. But also I have a project on my website about how to make these into some pretty beautiful wall art. It's a mixed media project using scrapbook paper. And so I'll link to that down below. 99 cents is a good price. I picked up 5 crystals for $3. And the ordinary simple crystals sell for about $3 each from my antique booth, but look at these. So there are 5 of them in that package. And I think I have sold other unusual ones on Etsy, so I think I'm gonna do them on Etsy for about $25. Just really, really pretty, right? Another glass item is this little salt. It was $1, and I'm planning on an article all about salt, so this should sell for about $4 or $5. And I should mention that I have a price guide, a costume jewelry price guide on my website as well, and I'll link to that. And then, whoops, 2 little figurines. Not super old. This one is a Native American. This is, I don't know, that looks like a British soldier to me. I'm not sure. But in any event, it was $1 for both of them, so they were 50 cents each, and I will price them about $6 or $7. As I've mentioned quite a lot lately, I am really focusing on smalls because that's where the bulk of my sales are coming from, particularly in my antique booth. So I have a couple of areas that I just pack with all sorts of small things, like those little soldiers and salts and that sort of thing. And here's another one. Small little piece. It was $1, and I will price it at about $12. Milk glass little lantern. And then I got this bag of figurines. They are ceramic figurines for $3 for the bag. And so each of these pigs, I'll price at about $5 or $6. And then there's 10 more little figurines, mostly pigs. There's also a swan and a turtle, and I will price them at about $3. So quite a lot of money in that $3 bag, right? So that was a good buy. And then from my local Salvation Army, very kitschy, cute, makes me think of strawberry shortcake pin cushion. I have an article all about vintage and antique pin cushions, so I'll be adding this one. I think on Etsy it should sell for about $25. I'm struggling to know exactly what this is for. You would think a spool of thread, but this is kind of big for most spools that size, so I'm not sure about that. If you have thoughts, let me know. It's got a Schmid mark on the bottom, made in Japan, dating this to about the 70s or 80s, sort of thing that probably was sold in a Hallmark store, is my thinking on that one. $3 from Salvation Army. This was free from a garage sale last weekend. My sister and her daughter and her husband were in town, and we hit some garage sales in the on the hottest, most humid day of the year. Always fun to find free things though. So this is Ma's soda bottle. That is a new to me brand, probably from the 1950s or 60s. I love the red and white design. And so I'm hoping $8, $7 or $8 for that piece. I have some ephemera and some books. Okay, ephemera first. So this is one of those packets that has all sorts of postcard sized images, and Amish sells really well. I feel like I want to group this together with some other Amish things that I have, some books, and I have a little Amish doll. This was $1. On its own, this would sell for about $5 from my antique booth. How about a $2 autograph book? This dates to the 1930s. Has nice graphic on the inside there. And then this one, I really enjoy the autograph books that have drawings and paintings and that sort of thing. This one doesn't have hardly any of that at all, but it does have some sweet little poems like, if every kind wish was a rose and the rose had not a thorn, your pathway through life with loveliest of flowers, fair friend, I would adorn. Your friend, Beulah West. What a great name. And in your golden chain of friendship, consider me a link. It's very sweet. Down by the river, carved in a rock, are 3 little words, forget me not. So this should sell for about $25. Nice little find. And then this is a antique fruit jar guide from, I think it's 1970s, 1973. It was $1, and fruit jar collectors really like this particular guide, not because it's accurate, because it's from the 1970s, right? But it's sort of an iconic guide, and I've seen them listed for $30 or $40. I'm not sure what they actually go for, so I'll be researching that. And then I always pick up any classics that I come across, and this is nice green color. Silas Marner by George Eliot, should sell for about $10. I picked up a couple of children's books. Here's a little golden book, has a clock on the inside. It is in really, really good shape. It's a reprint from 1957. So this is a 1974 reprint, but in really, 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 really good condition. Hardly used at all. So I'm hoping 10 to 12 on that one. And then here's a Trucks book from 1966. And hopefully $6 or $7 on that one. Kindness is something we need more of, right? So I know a lot of people are interested in that. I might take the cover off because without the cover, it looks much nicer. And it has sweet little illustrations. I'm gonna put 10 on that one. And then a school book called Happy Times from the 30s with these really, really cool. Of course, we love the ones from the 60s, right? But these are almost as nice. And I almost feel like I want to frame some of them, but I'm not going to. $6 or $7 on that one. Few pieces of glass and china, and then I'm going to get into the Christmas decorations that I picked up. So a pair of little glasses with some gold trim. They were $1 each, and I think I'll sell the pair for about 10. And then this little luster, pink luster with the gold decoration was $2, and I think it'll sell for about 10. And a little glass pitcher for 99 cents with an attached hand-blown handle. The pitcher itself was hand-blown. On the bottom, you can see where the pontil mark from the glass blower was ground down to make it a little bit fancier. $8. Very, very sweet Nippon toothpick. It was $4, and it is marked Nippon on the bottom. And I'm gonna price that at $15. Little hand-painted roses there and some 22 karat gold trim on that piece. And then this is a newer shot glass, but just so pretty, right? With the cobalt blue and the gold. This is Ron John's Surf Shop, and it was 99 cents, and I'll put $10 on that. And then I got a set of this barware glasses, set of 6 for $2. And I would like to put about 25 on that set. Let's jump into the Christmas. First thing, I picked up 3 of these wooden spools of some sort because they're shaped like trees, and so there's something to do. Like I want to put a star up on the top, like a really farmhousey sort of star, and then maybe wrap some plaid fabric around the bottom in like a little knot. That's what I'm thinking right now. They were $2.25 each, and I would like to sell them at the craft fair that I do every year. I also use little Dutch shoes like these. It was $1 for the pair. They are marked Made in Holland on the bottom, but I put bottle brush trees in them and decorate them a little bit and sell them for 10. This size for $10 each. And pair of gorgeous cable knit mittens in really unused condition for $2.99 for the pair. So as mittens, you probably could get about $15 or $18 on them, but I put greens in them and red berries and put a little piece of ribbon there to hang them, and I sell them for $10 to $12 during the craft fair. And I'll link to an article that shows these projects. And this was from Salvation Army, 99 cents, a stocking made from a piece of an old quilt. Should sell for $25 to $30 on Etsy. A towel that looks and feels old to me. Happy Holidays, though, makes me think that it's newer, right? But just really nice with that red and green grain stripe. And if I don't keep it, I price it at about $8 from my antique booth. And then I need candles for a number of different projects that I sell at Christmas time. I turn lanterns into candle holders. So this was half off. It was $2. It's from Marshall Kohl's. It was $10. Just so pretty, right, with that design on it. And so one of my favorite recent buys are a set of 5 Putz houses for $10. So they were $2 each. And they are an excellent condition. Should sell on Etsy for about $28 to $32. They have their original tag there, 29 cents, made in Japan. Japan on the tag and on the bottom. And each of them has their original little tree. There's another one. And there's no, oops, backwards. Number 4. And then number 5 is a church. And all of them have intact cellophane windows, which is rare. They often get poked out. So there's the church with its removable steeple, and a light could be inserted in the back as part of your Putz Village. They could also go on a tree if you wanted them to, with the light in there, and then the cellophane glows up nice and red and gold. So that was a great find. And along with the houses, it's the same price, $10, came this little snowman worth about $12 all on its own. Okay, last 2 items are things that sold on Etsy. First thing is a little Italian cookbook in its own little box. Just cute as can be. Sold for $24, has tabs, and there's the recipes. One thing that I shipped out this morning is a little, I call them pocket icons. They're embossed. This one has a little relic on it. This is St. Jude, and there's Jesus on the cross, little wooden cross. So the one that I sold had Mary on it, and it sold for $19 plus shipping. So I'll be listing these soon. This one a little bit more because it has the relic there. Probably more in this one also because of the wooden cross. So I've been experimenting with religious, spiritual items like this, and they've been selling. I made a pearl bracelet out of Mary medallions, and I've sold several rosaries. I sold a triptych, a beautiful gold frame with images of Mary and Jesus. And I just sold recently a missal that was stuffed full of the little cards, the little funeral cards and other religious cards. So they've been selling really well for me. And then another experiment is with restaurant ware. So I sell quite a lot of ironstone on Etsy, but this is a piece of restaurant ware. It's marked Walker China, Bedford, Ohio, and it sold for $23. The buyer had a 15% off coupon, so it was, I think it was $27 and they got it for $23, and it sold relatively quickly. So I'll be listing more restaurant ware. Very ironstone-like, but newer and really beautiful in its own right. When I ship things like this, I will stuff, this is sewing pattern paper. You can stuff it with any kind of paper to help prevent it from breaking or cracking in shipping. That's it for today. Thanks for staying with me this long, and as always, happy hunting.